Yes, she's Joey's unmarried sister. I just remember thinking, you know what? I hope my neighbors describe me as Miranda's unmarried sister.
This is Whose Creek Is It?
The podcast where two sisters recap and pontificate about the show Dawson's Creek.
I'm Miranda, and I've seen the whole series at least 5 times.
And I'm Allison, and I'm watching this show for the very first time. Let's get started. Well, this is our first episode since we've actually published the podcast.
Yeah, so we're trying to remember everything.
I watched a couple episodes last night and then watched.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I could catch up. And yeah, has it been a couple months since we recorded?
I think so. I think it's been maybe 2 months or maybe longer.
Yeah.
Sometime in September or maybe late August.
Yeah, we had, a family trip and other stuff, and we've been, figuring out the process of getting a podcast published. So now we're a couple weeks out ahead. So yeah.
Yep. We really left it on a cliffhanger to say, like, we left it right before this episode came, and I was like, I know this episode's going to be a big episode.
Yeah, I was watching it this morning, and I had many what moments.
Yep. Okay, so the episode is episode 5 of season 1, titled Hurricane, and boy was it. It came out February 17th of 1998, and the director was Lou Antonio. The writers were Kevin Williamson and Dana Barada. Lots of drama in this episode. Like, just I ran out of space for my notes because just every scene there's something important happening.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. And it's this classic trope in television where it's like you have all these competing storylines, and then it's the trope of let's get everyone forced into the same space together and they can't leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I was like, why does everyone need to go to Dawson's house? Is there something special about Dawson's house for hurricanes?
It's a hurricane-proof house. I don't know.
Okay, well, we start once again in Dawson's bedroom. The first thing we see is a printed portrait of Steven Spielberg on his bedside table.
Yeah, this like dramatic black and white.
And it gets knocked over from the wind outside because, there's a storm coming.
Mm-hmm.
And they're watching disaster movies.
Mm-hmm.
So poignant. Honestly, I think if I was in a hurricane, I wouldn't want to watch movies about bad things happening. But that's just me.
Yeah, you would think. On the other hand, during the pandemic, I feel like pandemic and epidemic movies had a big resurgence there. I forget what it's called. What was it? Outbreak, and there was another one. But
Like,
I feel like they had a
28
run.
days later, or
Something like that. But they're in Dawson's bedroom, and after episode 4, where they sort of like leave on this like, oh, nothing will ever be the same again, I was like, oh, well, they seem to have patched things up somewhat.
Yeah. So would have been nice to see that, right? We left off where they were at the ruins talking about the end of their friendship or something.
Yeah, and Joey's like, someone's like, are we going to be relegated to a museum exhibit? And then Joey's last line is like, yeah, definitely headed for the Smithsonian. So, but they could be there, it seems that they are on good enough terms for her to be hanging out and laying in his bed as a hurricane approaches.
Yep. Yeah, times of strife will really bring you together.
Yeah. And they're having a great time until the news comes on.
Well, they had a good time when they found out that school was canceled, which we didn't get to have that much other than for, I would call them ash days.
Yeah.
Where like school would get canceled because the air quality was so bad from a wildfire.
Yeah, just California things. We did not have in Southern California, it didn't have snow days. We did once in a while have a bad enough wildfire that the air quality was too bad, or I had a few where it was so hot that they made us eat lunch inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they hear on the news that school's canceled, and Gale says, "Tomorrow would be a great day to stay in bed." Bob was like, "You got that right."
Oh man. And just come on, Gale. A little bit of like discretion. And then Dawson is all wound up because, nothing kills the fun like your mother's public affair.
Yeah, and Joey asks if he's told Gale that he knows or Mitch that he knows, and he hasn't. And it changes the whole tone of the night where he asks Joey if she can leave. He says, like, "Mind if I sack?" Which I'm like, I was this a thing?
I don't know. So weird. But like, yeah, I guess that's more polite than saying, "Can you leave?" Because they're in his room.
Yeah, he says, like, everything's postponed because of the hurricane. I'm not gonna, like, bring this up right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joey says, "Your life is a hurricane."
Oh my god. I mean, which is funny because, the first few episodes, it's been just nothing but like, wow, Dawson's life is perfect.
But now it kinda is. He's having problems with everybody. So,
Yeah. Well, some of the problems are his own fault of like
yeah.
being mad that someone's not a virgin. Uh,
But I love right before Joey leaves through the window, right before a hurricane, which is questionable, I'm like, that would be the time to leave the normal way. They have, like, the wind blowing sound effects, but she's like, "No, it's fine. I'll get on the roof and climb down a ladder." Uh,
Joey's a rough and tumble kid.
yeah. She's seen worse, but she says, "Fasten your seatbelt. It's gonna be a bumpy life."
Oh my god. Oh, wow, the writing. But I was very excited by the next scene. 99% because of the soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, they're just showing, like, snippets of the town preparing for the hurricane, and they have REM's song, It's the End of the World, or I think that's what it's called?
Yeah, end of the world as
Yeah.
we know it. Which is such a jam.
Yeah. Whenever things are, like, not going well, that's a great song to listen to. Like, I remember my senior year of college when Trump got elected the first time, everyone was playing that song the next day.
Yeah, it's just like it's the end of and like sometimes it's nice to hear the "and I feel fine" because like we've all learned to just live our lives in the context of the world ending. But yeah, it's the end of the world, and I guess I still have to go to class.
Mhm. Oh, we did skip over the intro, which okay, so
Yeah.
back when we were recording, we were watching it on Hulu, but now it's on Netflix, and we don't wanna support Hulu, although Netflix is also not the best. But Netflix has the version of the show that's, like, remastered, so it's, like, a lot less fuzzy, and luckily they filmed it on film, so they can
Mhm.
remaster it, which is great, and it's full screen, it's not, like, in that square ratio,
Mhm.
and also the original intro song, "I Don't Wanna Wait," is
Yeah.
back because they, like, re-recorded it because of some kinda master rights or some kinda issue
Oh.
similar to probably Taylor Swift.
Something like that. I didn't realize it was a re-recorded version, but it was kind of strange for
Mhm.
me since I watched the first 4 episodes with the sort of off-brand opening song. That I was like, oh, it's strange to see this opening sequence with the song.
Yeah. I think it fits a lot better. We see Gail complaining that she can't cover the storm in the kitchen with Mitch, because she's not a man.
Yep, she doesn't have an appendage.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem is as a woman, I really want to go out and report on a storm.
I mean, it is there. I could definitely see that happening in a reporting and news context of being like, oh no, it's dangerous. We have to send a man. Uh,
Hmm.
I remember being in elementary school and like if we needed to move desks, the teacher would be like, I need two strong boys. It was like, we're 9. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about when I was working for the army as a civilian, but when work there as a civilian, you're like in the reserves or something. Like if you're a man working
Mm.
there, you have to be like they technically can call on you for like military reasons or something, but if you're a woman, they don't. They don't have that requirement. And I was like, this is the sexism I'm okay with.
Yeah,
When
it's
it's for something that I really don't want to do.
yeah, it's yeah, the old that's just yeah, the argument from like men's rights activists. Yeah, well, women can't be drafted. It was like, yeah, I think it's wrong that you could be forced to fight in a war that you don't support. That's bad also.
Yeah.
But also, I don't want to do
Patriarchy
it.
harms you as well.
Yeah, patriarchy is bad for everybody. And then, but yeah, once in a while, it's like something like that, and you're just like, well, also we get paid less.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That would be strange though if they brought in like a civilian engineer to be like, "Congratulations, you're in the army," and they're just like, "I'm
Here's a gun.
here's here's a gun," and it's like a 42-year-old that has never held a weapon, and they're just like, "Well, you're in, buddy." Oh,
Yeah, they're talking in the kitchen, her and Mitch, and then Mitch walks out of the kitchen when Dawson comes in, and he's just like, "My dad's the best, isn't he?"
yeah, that was pretty transparent. Isn't my dad great?
Solid like a rock, faithful, like
Oh man, the faithful line. Uh,
and the whole time his mom is just like drinking coffee or whatever, like, "Uh-huh. Yeah."
yep. Yeah, come on. Lady, you've got to be picking up on this. Like, I think we talked about this in a previous episode where I feel like if I were in her position, the slightest hint of anyone being upset with me, I would immediately think they know.
Yeah, I know. She's very like confident that she's pulling it off.
Until her son's 15-year-old best friend is like, "I know."
Yeah, so she deflects by being like, "Did you, like, secure the furniture on the porch or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I'll go do that. Gotta get ready for Hurricane Bob."
Yeah, and he's like, "I don't know if you're picking up on this, Mom, so I'm gonna make it real clear."
Yeah, and then when he leaves the kitchen, she's like, "Oh, boy." Which makes
Oh
you
god.
think he knows, but then, like, she keeps behaving as if he doesn't.
Yeah, it takes like one more incident before they
Yeah.
like fully she fully acknowledges that he knows.
Mhm. We see Pacey and his brother on the beach setting up flags and no swimming signs. And this is the first time we meet Pacey's brother,
Yep.
his name is Doug, although Pacey calls him Dougie, even though Doug is an older brother. It's kind of, you can cut this out, but it's kind of like when I used to call you Sissy.
Yeah, Dougie.
Yeah, and the whole time Pacey's giving him shit about being gay, even though his brother keeps saying he's not gay, just challenging his butchness.
Yeah, he even says like, "You're the most butch."
Yeah.
Which is you obviously know more than I do, so I don't know if this is like a storyline that's ongoing or if it gets dropped eventually, but I'm
It kind of pops in and out. I will tell you, you don't really get a definite answer for a long time.
yeah, cuz
There's
people figure things out. Sometimes it takes a while.
but I like that he says, "Just because I'm pretty doesn't mean I'm gay."
I mean, yeah, I do like that. And I do appreciate if he's whatever his sexuality, I appreciate a man who is just upfront like, "Yeah, I like musicals and theater. Art is cool."
I have I have an interesting and soft complexity.
Yeah. Which it's kind of interesting that they also made him maybe not as conversational and quick-witted, but he's not like the dumb brother.
Yeah, it's I don't know, a lot of the things Doug says are kind of unfounded for us, but it gives you a real idea of, like, what the rest of his family thinks of him, about
Ye-
Pacey.
yeah, and he drops very very smoothly. Our father, the chief of police. Thank you for that exposition.
Yeah, it's not subtle at all.
No, but yeah, it does make me think more about what like this is sort of the first peek at Pacey's family that we've gotten to see.
Mhm. Yeah, and Doug says he's chose to be a cop because their father instilled a sense of justice and whatever, and I'm like, "Okay, so you're just trying to, like, live up to your dad's expectations."
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, you ask anybody why they do any job, and you have to give there's like the polished reason and then there's the reason of like, I don't know, it was made sense.
I was here, my dad could give me nepotism to get into the force.
We got a hell of a union, hell of a
Yeah.
pension.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's 1998, and so for most people it was not much of an ethical issue.
Yeah, also it's a small town, so you're probably not killing people.
I mean, one would hope, but yeah, it's it's interesting. It's this is I don't know, it'd be interesting to learn more about Doug if we do. It sounds like it's sort of like a long slow burn.
Yeah, I would've liked him to be in the show more, but yeah, he pops in and out, I think, like, every season, but
Yeah.
not there's no major storylines with him, I'd say. But yeah, after that, we are seeing other people preparing for the hurricane. We see Bessie and Bodhi preparing at their place, and they're doing that while discussing if they should circumcise their unborn baby or not. Uh
Yeah.
But it's funny because, like well, so funny enough, it's Bessie that doesn't want circumcision. She thinks it's, like, wrong to cut a baby.
Yeah.
But Bodhi is, like, steadfast about wanting the kid to be circumcised. He's like, "I was fine," which means that Bodhi is circumcised.
Yeah. Just so everyone knows. And yeah, it is kind of interesting cuz I feel like in discussions of this, I don't know. I can't say that I've heard a lot of discussions about this either in person or in media, but it's interesting to hear the person who has experienced this very socially acceptable surgery, mutilation, whatever we're calling it. I don't need I don't know. People it's weird and we do it. But it was interesting that he is the one advocating for it. And I was just like, you were just having this conversation and yeah, by this episode I was really able to see I was like, "Oh, I see why there was like it was, Moms for Decency or whatever it was like this show is completely unhinged." They're really pushing the envelope.
For 98, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I think Joey says, like, "Oh, we should go wait out the storm at Dawson's," and they're like, "Yeah, that's a good idea," and I'm like, why
Why?
Dawson's? I don't know."
Yeah, I mean they could have given us like some kind of reason like he's on the west side of the creek and it's never dangerous I don't know. But yeah, they're just like we might as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then we pop back to Pacey, who's still out on the beach helping his brother, and he sees Tamara at her beach house, which looks lovely.
And has rainbow flags?
I was gonna say that. Yeah,
Well,
there
not
were, like, a
flags,
lot
but
of,
like
like, window decor like, wind decor items that blow in the wind, but they're all, like, rainbow, and I'm
yeah.
like, "Okay." I mean, we do find out she's from New York
Yeah.
later, so maybe that tracks, I don't know.
Yeah, but I was just like, "Oh, we're going right from are they just stumbling upon the house of the local gay character?" No, no, it's Tamara.
He runs up to her and calls her Tammy, which I think is the first time we've heard him
Yeah.
refer to her like that. And he's like running up to like try to hug, kiss her, whatever, be physical in some kind of way. And she's like, "Don't." Who pops around the corner is his brother
Yeah.
helping. helping her set up for the hurricane.
Yeah, and that just, I mean, he's 15 and he's a child, so he doesn't really. It's again, it's this situation, it's this ongoing clash of his enthusiasm with her responsibility to, like, this is a child, stop.
Like,
And
he's
then,
just like an excited puppy who is not worrying about the ramifications if they dig through the trash.
yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, I'm I'm kind of surprised he didn't tension between him and his brother wasn't even greater in this episode, because he's already so jealous. He's been jealous in past episodes of Mr. Gold. So it's interesting that the tension didn't even go higher, at least until the moment that we'll get to when it gets very high. Um, Especially because, I, I am not one of these people, but a lot of people find a man in uniform attractive, and his brother is pretty.
Yeah, his brother is very good looking.
Hmm.
He has a nice jawline.
Yeah, it's this clear, like, mid-20s cop jawline, and then just, I'm a boy.
Tamara tries to smooth it over Pacey being around by being like, I'm a normal teacher talking to you about assignments. Like, I'm sure this storm has given you a lot of time to work on your schoolwork.
Yep, bet you're reading. And his brother, and Doug is just like, nah, he just hasn't read a book since third grade.
Yeah, he's a goof.
Yeah. Which, yeah, it does reinforce that that is his role in the family. He's the youngest, like, goof screw up.
Yeah, and this whole episode, Tamara's like kind of trying to subtly defend him
Mm,
to his brother. Yeah, she said, "Oh, well, you'd be pleased by how he's doing at school."
yeah. And well, even if they didn't have their inappropriate relationship, I think a lot of teachers, if they were confronted with family members kind of belittling their student, I think there are a lot of teachers who would be like, that is not the person that I know, or like, I see them in this different light. You would hope they would be an advocate for their students, but it's not that I think a teacher can very often change the mind of the family.
She tells both of them she doesn't fare well in bad weather or something, and
Yeah.
Doug is very flirty and is like, "Well, we'll have to do something about that." I'm like, "What the hell does that mean?"
Yeah, I wrote down the quote and I said, like what? What are you gonna do about that? Are we doing exposure therapy? What do you got in your back pocket, Doug?
But yeah, that scene ends with like Pacey just death glaring his brother.
Oh yeah, that one, I remember that glare went on for a long time.
So we're back at Dawson's house, and Jen and her grandmother are like coming into the house.
Oh, because his father went over.
Oh yeah, because his father had left to like ask them to come stay over with them during the storm. Graham's Jen's grandmother, whatever, Miss Ryan, whatever you want to call her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Oh, I'm sure like God won't destroy our house, or he'll have a reason if he does." I don't remember what she said. Something
Yeah.
about trusting the Lord. And then Jen's like, "Oh, I didn't tell you the Lord sent a fax while you were out. Something about the Armageddon."
Yeah. Jen is Jen is not having it.
Yeah. She stays out on the porch where Dawson's doing something on the porch for the storm, and she's trying to, I don't know, be friendly to him, seeing how things are between them, considering the last episode. He was very cold to her about everything she had told him.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't really engage. He does say, "Sorry, your grandfather's back in the hospital." And she's like, "Oh, it's fine. They're just running some tests." And I'm like, what a cheap and quick way to explain why they aren't wheeling the incapacitated grandfather over to the Dawson's house.
Exactly, because I bet you they came up like, all right, we know in this episode we need to get everybody all together so that the powder keg can explode. But then they're like, oh God, what do we do with Grandpa? He's like unconscious. He's in the hospital. So that works.
Hmm. They end on like a cold, uncomfortable state in terms of Dawson's just like trying to avoid having a conversation with Jen about his behavior.
Yeah, yeah, he's just clearly not ready to confront or talk about how he feels, which, like, maybe it's because he knows his discomfort isn't really appropriate or isn't really Jen's problem. Or
Mhm.
maybe he just, to be fair, he's got a few things going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Once in a while, we can be fair to Dawson.
Miss Ryan encounters Bodhi and Bessie.
Yeah, they all end up going to the Leary house.
Yeah. And in the living room, I think someone, I can't remember who, maybe it was Mitch introducing her to Bessie. And she's like, we've met. And then Bodhi's like, I'm here too. And she just goes, mm hmm, and walks away.
Yeah, I remember what Grams actually says is like, yes, she's Joey's unmarried sister. You know, as she stands there very visibly pregnant, and I just remember thinking, you know what? I hope my neighbors describe me as Miranda's unmarried sister. I hope that's my reputation in the neighborhood. But yeah, she's just immediately dismissive of them, and it's just sets the tone for how she's going to treat them.
Yeah, her character is all over the place in this episode. I mean, we'll
Yes.
get to it later, but she's like nice, then she's mean, then she's I don't know. She's all over the place.
Yeah, well, I'll have more to say about that as we go forward, because that was. I am not pleased with Grams.
It finally hits a head when Gale is talking to Bob on the phone on the stairs
Where anyone could hear.
and just like making kissy noises
The
and
kissy
all sorts
noise!
of
Calls him a bad boy. Oh my god.
wild. And then Dawson like stomps behind her and she hangs up the phone and turns around and I forget exactly what Dawson said, but it was like, "You've won an award. It's an A, like stitched across your chest," or
Yeah, because of course Dawson would choose to confront his mother with a reference to the Scarlet Letter.
yep.
And then he corrects her grammar in the conversation. Which, like, as an intellectualizer myself, I can kind of identify with, but, like, not now. Not now, Dawson.
Yeah, he's like, "You're breaking sacred vows. I don't understand how you could do this." And she says, "There are reasons." And he's like, "What are the reasons? You're bored? Is it because you're 40 now and you feel like life's passing you by?" And I'm like,
And yeah, when she finally sort of is talking to Mitch about it, it's like, oh yeah, it was kind of just nothing.
"Yeah, yep, not an answer that makes it any better."
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Um,
remember when she's talking to Dawson, just being like, "Why are you talking to Dawson about this?" Which this continues further in the
mhm,
episode, where I'm just like, "Why is Dawson being forced into these conversations?" Like, again, we're
yeah.
we're we're often annoyed by Dawson, but he should not have to be in the room for the conversations that are being had.
Mhm. He basically is like, "I'm not having this conversation with you, like, you need to be talking to dad."
Yeah, you didn't cheat on me, Mom.
Yep, and he stomps off to his room where Jen's hanging out. He's just having a fit about, "Is
Hmm.
monogamy dead? Why is everyone so terrible?" And Jen's like, "You need to talk to your dad." He's going off about his mom, and Jen says that she's a good woman, which right now she's not being a great wife.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I can also see being Jen in that situation, and even if you don't know anything, you're trying to sort of like rein in someone who's spiraling and like writing someone
Yeah.
off completely.
Yeah, he sees things very black and white, and when she's semi defending his mother, he's like, "Oh, of course you would defend her."
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Dawson. We were trying to be fair to you, and then you did that. You just called your friend who did nothing to you. You're just like, oh, and you're a slut. Like, ugh. And to her credit, she does not take that line
Mm-mm.
down, does
She's
she?
like, you better clarify yourself before I rip your head off.
Yeah, would you like to add some context to the statement you just made?
Yeah. And she basically says, like, yeah, you only see things black and white, and that's not reality. Like, you don't live in reality. And then she, like, stomps out of there. Dawson's just like, woe is me. He, like, falls onto his bed all dramatically.
Yeah. And that was just going back a second. Yeah, that was kind of a poignant moment for me when she's like, no, the rest of us have to live in reality. And it's, while as much as it is, a nice line in a TV show, it is, as you get older, you realize that, like, most people's lives are very
Mhm.
messy. A lot of relationships, a lot of families, a lot of, yeah, a lot of situations just get very messy, and it is not, and most people aren't living in that sort of black and white, clearly, I do not tolerate this, or, we make allowances and we have to decide where to draw those lines, but that's hard to explain to an idealistic 15-year
Mhm.
old.
Who's never really had to face any big problems or big failures of people in his life.
Yeah.
Yep. So turns out the whole time Joey's been in the closet. I don't know, just trying to avoid
Yeah.
everybody, I guess.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to be anywhere, although it feels kind of weird to be sitting in the closet and not tell either of the people in the room that you're there.
I mean, I don't know. If I was seeing people argue or hearing them, I'd be like, I'm just gonna wait. Me coming out now, like I don't want
Yeah.
any of this directed at me.
Yeah, I could see that, like, you think, like, oh, I'll just let it lie for a second, and then it keeps going and building, and you're just like, oh, and now I'm still in the closet.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
she comes out and I think he kind of asks why she's in there and she's like, "Yeah, just remember when we used to play in the closet and pretend we were in Jaws or I don't Poseidon, I don't know what movie."
I think it was Jaws.
And Dawson's just like, "Oh, you don't understand what I'm going through," and all this kind of stuff. And Joey says that she understands because we already know that her father cheated on her mother
Yeah.
and that it's all perspective. It's all how you feel. What do you think is truly wrong, truly evil, what the reasons are and how that makes it better or worse.
Yeah, she gets a little fuzzy on her explanation, but I could see the direction she's trying
Mhm.
to go in.
But yeah, Dawson is not having any of it. He's just writing off her experience completely. And so she turns to the dead mother card.
Yep, and I just wrote, boom, Joey.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, this is hard for you, Dawson. You're also being a
Yeah. She's
whiner.
like, you should get down on your knees and thank God that you still have a mother instead of bitching about her all the time.
Yeah. Which, like, is it an unfair argument? I don't know, but in that moment, I was just excited to see Joey kind of put him in his
Mhm.
place.
The next thing is we see some more friction with Bodhi and Grams. I think it was about something he was cooking or he had made, and Grams is like, I know how to cook, discrediting his knowledge being
I
a
think I
chef.
Yeah, I think what it was she had made something and he was making a suggestion that it would be enhanced with, like, such and
Oh,
such spice, and then Bessie was trying to, like, mitigate it and was just like, "It was
yeah.
delicious, Mrs. Ryan," or whatever it was. But that's not when they have the more direct
Mm-mm.
conversation. That comes a little bit
Yeah.
later, right? Okay, yeah. So I could see, so yeah, she was just dismissing Bodhi, who is a professional chef. Yeah, she's not, more to come.
And in the same room, Mitch is watching the news with Bob out in the storm, and he's like, "Oh, I hope Bob will be okay out there." And Joey's like, "I don't think you need to worry about Bob.
Yeah, he can take care of himself. And your wife.
I don't think yeah, I don't think you're gonna feel that way about wishing only good things for him soon."
Yeah. Yeah, Joey's just like, why do I know this? I don't want to know this.
Yep. And she's later sitting on the stairs on the staircase, and Gale comes over and sits next to her, and I don't know why there is kind of like this moment where they seem like friends or something. She's like, "You know I made a mess. I know I made a mess."
Yeah. And she says, but I'm gonna end it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what does that
Yeah.
mean? Does that mean you're gonna tell your husband? Because, like, those are two different scenarios. There's the path of end it and pretend it never happened, and Dawson and Joey just have to live with it, or end it and tell your husband. And she just said it with, like, a finality of, like, well, now I'm gonna solve the problem. And I was like, oh, honey, Hale.
This is the beginning.
Yeah. Welcome to your life. This is your life for quite some time, I bet.
Yep. So we cut back to Doug and Pacey at Tamara's place, and they're kind of having a butch off of like, "Oh, I can carry this thing. I can do this thing." I don't know, just
Yeah. Let me move this
being silly.
centerpiece.
Mhm. Doug has to like, well, he goes outside because they heard something outside maybe fall over, and so he's out there for a little while, which gives Pacey the chance to, like, feel up not really feel up, but, like, I don't know, get physically close to Tamara, and
Put his
she's like,
hands
"Are
on her,
you
yeah.
crazy?" Yeah. Yeah, she says something of, like, "Quick reminder that this is a felony." It's like, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe you should listen to yourself there. Yeah, and
What
then
a fun joke.
yeah. Well, it is interesting the way he immediately wants to like be all over her, and it was like that is kind of a phase in like teenage relationships of, a lot of people, they have their first like serious partner, and there's a lot of just gratuitous touching, and it's like, yeah, but that doesn't work if she's in her 30s.
Yeah.
It's not so cute.
And during that time, while Doug is out of the room, he tells her that, "Oh, Doug's gay."
Yep. Just as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And we later find out she just takes that at face value.
Yep. I mean, he is very pretty. If someone said that and I already maybe thought that, I'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah, maybe it's because I don't trust Pacey on almost anything, that I would immediately be like, you can even enjoy the company or have friends where you're like never quite sure if they're joking. So, but yeah, I don't know. But she believes it.
Mhm.
And then they're kissing.
Yep. And then quickly stop as Doug comes back in and is like, "Why are you guys so close to each other?"
Well, didn't they like fall on the floor and throw a
Oh, yeah, they
sandwich on
did
top of
fall.
themselves? They pulled the
Yeah, they fell on the
tablecloth.
floor. She pulled the tablecloth down and they got like food all over themselves. Right.
Yeah. And I was like, ooh, I wondered in that moment of where's Doug gonna go with this, but they did not. He didn't seem to understand.
Hmm. After this, we start getting into some like deep stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. We
Yep.
arrive.
So we arrive to the kitchen with Mitch still working on that diorama, which cracks me up.
Which I believe I caught that it's his proposed restaurant is going to be called the Kelp, which is not a great name.
It has like SpongeBob SquarePants vibes.
But did we have SpongeBob SquarePants then?
I don't think so. But I was like, this looks like Mr. Krabs' burger place.
Yeah, it does. The Krusty Krab.
Anyway, yeah, so yeah, Dawson was in the kitchen with Mitch, and Mitch is just talking about his dream of opening a aquatic themed restaurant, and Gale comes into the kitchen seeming very serious, like there's something I need to tell you.
Mm.
And Dawson tries to leave. He's like, "I'll see myself out." And then she's like, "No, this falls on all ears in this family." She's like, "No, you're going to have to watch me tell your dad that I've been cheating on him."
Yeah, and I just wrote down like, oh, what? Gail, let him leave. Let your child leave the room. There is no reason he needs to be here for this conversation. He knows what's going to happen. He's going to hear more about it later. He doesn't have to see his father's whole world crack in two.
Yeah.
And oh, you pointed it out in an earlier episode, but as she's delivering the news, the Dutch angle.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
tilted camera just to create that sense of unease.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she starts by saying, "I had this dream to be Diane Sawyer, or I had all these dreams to be like a famous news journalist." And And then she's like, "I've accepted that I didn't achieve that, and I've come to terms with that," and just trying to prolong it as much as possible.
Yeah, she's like, maybe I could be like a second tier one, like Jenny Jones, and have a TV show, but everyone hates those shows. It just goes on and on.
Yeah. Finally, Mitch is like, "Just tell me what's going on." And she's like, she really says it so harshly. She's like, "Every time I've worked late, every time I haven't been with you, every time, blah, 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 I've been having sex with another man."
Yeah, she didn't she say like for the last 62 days?
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's been, like, about 2 months, and I'm like, "Wow, I feel like this is, like" her affair had progressed so quickly in 2 months. They just got so sloppy so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, they that's the thing is that I don't think any of the yeah, it was the way they were handling it got so sloppy so fast.
Yeah.
She delivers that and like there's a beat and he's shocked and she goes like, "Mitch?" And I was like, you don't get to hurry him up. You don't get to like
Yeah.
demand an answer right now. Let the man have 5 seconds to process."
Yeah, she doesn't she also says, like, "I'm not offering an apology, I just thought I'd let you know."
I think the way she put it was like she realizes that an apology wouldn't be enough, but
Mhm.
she like just the way she worded it was not gentle. It wasn't
Mm-mm.
I've messed up so bad that apology isn't enough. It felt more like a formality from it sounded like a company telling you the news that you got laid off. Like, we know this is so sad. So it was like, no, you can acknowledge that an apology is not enough, but you should really apologize.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, all that comes out and there's this pause and then the power cuts out.
Mm.
And it comes back to Mitch getting up and he's like, "Oh, we need batteries. I thought we had some lanterns." I don't know. Like just completely acting like he didn't hear what his wife just said.
Yeah.
And
And he sends Dawson out.
yeah, yeah, go get batteries or something. I don't know.
Mm.
And Dawson's like, "Yes, I will absolutely go do that right now." And yeah, more and more Mitch gets like agitated, blaming it on batteries or something.
Yeah.
And then Gale is getting upset because he's getting so, like, angry and aggravated and starts to, like, kinda whimper a little bit, and then oh, he, like, threw stuff off the table too, like, he,
Yeah.
like, yeah, so he was, like,
His
physically showing anger.
his diorama.
Yeah, I know. He worked so hard on it.
Yeah.
Gale starts, like, crying a little bit, and he yells and turns to her and is like, "Don't you cry. You don't get to cry." And he's, like, pointing the flashlight right in her face too.
Yeah. It was tough cuz like you want to he just received terrible news in not the best way, but also there's just this especially when he like throws the stuff off the table and like yells and points the flashlight light right in her face. It's very like, I don't know how I feel about Mitch right now because like I understand you're angry, but there is a dynamic between men and women in that moment. There's this implicit threat of violence that whether it's intentional or not, it's there. And it just felt kind of icky.
Yeah, it does not feel nice.
Yeah, like I totally agree. I think it's completely reasonable for him to say, "You don't get to cry." Like obviously she's allowed to feel however she feels, but I feel like it's a pretty reasonable response for someone who just got told they're being cheated on. That like, you don't get to be upset. This was you. You just, I don't know. It was this sort of very subtle physical intimidation that I did not
Yeah.
like.
Hmm. I think after that he like storms out, and Miss Ryan has been hearing some of this and walks in, and she's like, "Is everything okay?"
Like,
And Gale, like fully teary-eyed, tears all over her face, is like,
everything's very cool.
"Yeah."
It reminds me of like my bit of a tangent. My metric for when I need to quit a job is like when it's making me cry too often.
Mhm.
And I remember in an early job being like sitting at my like office desk, clearly tears streaming down my face trying to act natural. And a coworker came up to me for something. They're like, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm fine. How can I help you?" So, yeah, I've been in that position of just like the only thing to say is that the only right answer is that yes, everything's fine when you're just so clearly and obviously crying. And it's just like, can you please live in this delusion with me for a moment because I cannot address the amount of crying I'm doing.
I mean, that's the sad thing about work is like these people are not your friends. You have to just you can't show any real emotion around those people.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yep. But yeah, I get that when you're just like trying to hide the fact that you're falling apart. And you're like, "No, I'm fully functioning. I'm totally capable."
I'll get that right to you. Just ping me. But yeah, Grams comes in and I think Gail just like makes an excuse of like, I need to do this, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. She says, "Oh, it's fine," and then like leaves, like walks out. And then Miss Ryan's just kind of there like, "Okay."
Alrighty.
Tension does not really decrease a whole lot. I mean, there's more conflicts to come, but we go back to Doug talking about how Pacey is so clumsy, like blaming them falling down with all the stuff on the tablecloth. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's clearly my clumsy idiot brother."
Mm-hmm.
And I think he says like he's the family embarrassment.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like this whole scene. I'm like, I don't know how we keep moving through it when it just keeps being so unbearably awkward.
Yeah. It just occurred to me, like, I'm the older of the two of us. I would never say that I mean, because you're objectively not an embarrassment to anybody, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're very, like, successful. But even, if we were, like, adolescent, I would never say that.
That's such a weird thing to say.
Maybe that's how things get talked about at their house. I don't know.
Yeah. Doug initiates like we should play a game.
It was like the if game.
The if game, yeah. And he asks her like if you had to live in one town for the rest of your life, where would you live? And she says, "Oh, New York. I was born and raised there, or whatever." But she said she left because of her dysfunctional ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like, is that so abuse?
Hard to,
Which kind
yeah.
of is answered later.
I remember, yeah, and then it kind of, the camera shows Pacey's face, and it's like clear that, oh, he's realizing he doesn't actually know anything about her.
Mhm.
And, like, yeah, I haven't really seen him. He hasn't asked her a single question that isn't about him. Like, every question is like, would you have dated me in high school? Uh, so there's so many reasons that the relationship is wrong, but in that moment, it's almost like Pacey realizing, like, oh, I guess you're supposed to know things about the person you're having a romantic situation with.
And I think he's probably annoyed because his brother is getting information like that out of her when he could have done it, but like he's a boy and doesn't know how to like pay attention to women.
Yeah, yeah. The number of people who need to be like told that part of if you're trying to either talk to someone on an app or have a date, conversations go by you take turns asking questions.
Hmm. So we pop back over to Bodhi and Bessie still talking about circumcision.
Yep, in mixed company.
Yeah. And I think it's like Bodhi says we don't even know if it's going to be a girl or a boy. And then Graham says, or black or white.
Oh my god, this lady. This lady. Oh my god. Who asked you, Grams? No one. I was so mad. I am so mad. And then her follow up is like, this child will always be marked as different. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, by people like you.
Yeah. Yeah. She says that. I think Bodhi's like, oh, do you object to like the fact that we're having this kid out of sin or the fact that we're together and we're not the same race, something like that. And she's like, oh, my objection is when children raise children.
I mean, they seem to be they're comfortably in their 20s, it appears. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe canonically in the show she's like 20 or 19 or something. But
I
that's
mean, they run a restaurant.
yeah, she's old enough to be her sister's guardian.
Yeah.
Well, the thing it reminded me of, the sort of like this kid will be marked as different. It reminds me of the conversation that I think when some people are faced with when someone comes out to a family member or parent and their response is negative and the reasoning they give is that life is going to be so hard for you. And it that's just not
It's going to be
helpful.
harder if they don't come out.
Yeah, it's going to be harder if they don't come out, and it's this kind of I'm not sure if it's a step up from total rejection or not, cuz it's not outright saying I disapprove of this in itself. It's that I don't want your life to be hard in this way, or I don't want you to face these difficulties, but that, not that like race and sexuality are necessarily completely parallel or that it's the same situation, but they know it's going to be hard. And you saying this isn't helping or really giving them any new information. So what you're only doing here is you're failing to offer them the support that they need. And I know that she's not like their parent, so she's just a neighbor, but it's like you don't need to tell an interracial couple that their relationship is going to be perceived differently by terrible people. You don't need to tell them that their children will probably face some kind of racism. They know.
That discussion ends with a very cheesy thing that Bessie says, but it's also really sweet. She says, part black, part white, it doesn't matter. This child will be 100% loved.
Yeah, cheesy, but also like very much like no one cares what you think, old lady. No one
Mhm.
cares what you think, random neighbor woman. Ugh,
Yeah.
just you could just you could just not say mean things.
Yeah. So we get some comedic relief after this
Yes.
with Jen and Joey on the porch. Like, Jen comes out and asks why Joey's out there, and she's like watching Mr. Leary, who's just sitting in his car.
Yeah.
Joey heard the whole conversation Jen and Dawson had in his room. So she's saying that it's his ego, it's an ego thing with him, and that's why he's like being ridiculous and mean, and that yeah, he's gonna wonder if he measures up to like all the other guys you've been with.
Yeah.
And I think Jen was like, "Really, do you think so?" And Joey's like, "I'm sure there's a measuring tape in his bathroom."
Yeah, like, as weird as it was, this felt like a really sweet scene between the two of them of it didn't feel adversarial in the way it had in some previous episodes. It really felt like they were kind of on the same team, and especially because they were kind of sharing the same sort of sense of humor.
Yeah, gossiping about the size of a guy's penis is a great way to bond.
I guess, but not when you put it like that. That also doesn't sound like a very nice thing to do. That sounds like not. I mean, I would not want a couple of guy friends talking about the size of my chest. So, you know, gender dynamics are weird, but it was nice that the girls were being nice to each other.
Yeah. I do like when Jen's like, "Do you think he has a pistol or a rifle?"
Yeah, that was a choice. That was a line.
Joey feels more at ease with Jen to say, like, "Dawson was wrong to be mean to you."
Yeah.
Then she does answer her question. She's like, slightly above average considering his height or something.
Yeah, yeah, she is. And considering she just like had her first kiss in episode 2 or 3 or whatever it was with like a random private school boy, you you talk a big game, Joey. Also, oh, I wrote down Katie Holmes as Joey just gives incredible adolescent awkward face. It's like really awkward kind of smile. Like, is smiling the right thing to do?
Next, we get to see Miss Ryan now being kind of nice to Dawson. He's cleaning up the diorama mess in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And she like kneels down and helps him and is like, if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with a lot of rain.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble with her character. Why is she being kind to Dawson in that way? And it just felt like so much hypocrisy to me because I think of this I think sometimes people will sort of defend people in their life or people they know by referencing times that they've been kind to them. Like person A will defend person B by citing times that person B was kind to them, person A. And I don't know, for me that doesn't go as far that doesn't really go anywhere if you have knowledge that person B is unkind to person C and D and E. Your kindness to one person doesn't make you a kind person. Your kindness to most people or the general public, like that's being kind to one person doesn't absolve you of being unkind to others
Mhm.
automatically. So I was almost more angry that she was having this like kind conversation with Dawson when she was so unkind to Bessie and Bodhi.
Yeah. I feel like what she said to Bessie and Bodhi, like in her own messed up way, she thought she was being helpful. Well, I'm telling you what you're gonna encounter, and I'm being nice by warning you, or I don't know. Like, I think
Yeah,
she thinks she didn't do a bad thing there.
I think you're right that that's how she saw it.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was interesting she talked about referencing her love of an older era of movies and the point about always
Hmm.
giving people second chances, which I wonder how much cuz would she be saying that if she knew why Gale needed a second chance?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, cuz yeah, if she's so puritanical and so about her Christian faith, I feel like adultery would be kind of a big deal to her.
Yeah. It kind of makes me wonder if, you know, how some religious people will be really against things that they've been taught are bad, but if they have done the things that are bad, then they're like, "Well, it's not that bad." So I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe she's had an affair.
Yeah. Or she or her husband did and she forgave him. And yeah, it's almost as if when you encounter an actual situation, you gain empathy for people in that situation.
Mhm.
And a real wild step is to say, "Oh, I haven't been in that situation. Maybe I should just give a bit of grace."
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm enjoying judging this grandma from a TV show.
Yeah, season 1, she's really not a good person, and then I don't know, her character goes through a lot of changes that are gradual to the point that you turn around and you're like, "Wait, well, how'd she turn into this?" Like,
Hmm.
not to get into too many specifics.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
All
Um,
right. Well, that'll
but
be
yeah, she's
interesting to
being
look
a
up.
real ass right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Next, we cut back to Pacey and Tamara and Doug playing Monopoly. And Doug is still talking to Tamara about musicals.
Yeah.
And he asks her out and mentions it being a date. And
Yeah.
Tamara's like, well, it won't be a date. And he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And she's like, because I know. I know you're gay.
Uh,
And
yeah, there were so many points, but like, A, Tamara, you took it at the 15-year-old word. And B, if he told you that kind of in confidence, it clearly Doug doesn't want to talk about it. If that
yeah.
were to be true.
hmm Things escalate quickly about Doug telling Pacey to tell her that he's not gay. And he pulls out his gun and points it at Pacey and tells him to tell her that he's not gay.
Yeah. Yeah. Just pulls out his police issued gun and points it at his brother's face. And I, as we sat down to record this, I was like thinking through it. I guess it was pre Columbine? Not that, like, I don't know that there's a through line there, but I was just like, that's wild behavior. Because I know next to nothing about guns. I know you do not point one at someone.
And what makes it worse is I'm pretty sure his finger's on the trigger. Like, that cops are like taught they're not supposed to put it on the trigger unless you're planning to shoot.
Ugh. And
So like yeah, it's crazy. And Tamara is like, what the fuck is going on?
we are playing
Like
Monopoly.
the reaction from Pacey is like, oh, he does this all the time. He does this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah, which his brothers had seemed relatively normal.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of men who do not like having their heterosexuality questioned. Like they're
Yeah.
very afraid of being accused to be gay.
Well, yeah, well, it's interesting. He seemed like kind of it bothered him, but he didn't get that elevated when it was just him and his brother. But when there's an attractive woman around, then it is like, this is a gun pointing offense. And it was just, yeah, the level of calm from Pacey. It just made me think a lot about, I think with different sort of editing and production, that could or should have been a very dark moment, but it's played off pretty normal in the show. Like, not that big a deal. And I don't know if that's an issue of what era the show was made in or what, but it felt really incongruous. Extremely this extreme situation, and then the way that everyone just goes back to normal.
hmm Yeah, a lot of people back then, particularly white people, were not aware of like how volatile police can be. Like I think that's part of it is like these writers were like, well, he's not going to shoot his brother. It's partially like there's been so many shootings since that time that you realize people will kill people over the dumbest reasons or no reason at all. And then it's also the fact that I think we're supposed to think that because he's a cop, he's going to be, I don't know, like he's not going to do something stupid. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there still are a lot of people today, but I think that so many people back then and today seem to think that the world, if you kill someone, it's because you're a killer and it's because you're a criminal and you do bad things. But my understanding is that a lot of crime, a lot of violent crime it was the emotion in the situation. The world is not split into like bad people who shoot guns and good people. It's just weirdly chilling and off kilter that moment.
mhm. Yeah, and Pacey finally, like, whacks the gun out of his face and is like, "No, he's not gay." And then his brother just makes, like, a whole 180 turn and is like, "So whose turn is it?" Or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's psychotic.
Yeah. And the whole time Tamara is just shocked, and she and it's like, "Well, dude, she's really not gonna wanna go out with you now."
Yeah, although I imagine not this exact situation, but I bet that is a dynamic a lot of teachers have experienced of like they know their student and then, they see them in a different context or they see the family and they hear something that seems insane and they just have to be like, that's the context in which you live. Okay. Alrighty then.
Yeah, that's not good. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna move to Gale coming to the car that Mitch has been sitting in for God knows how long.
Yeah.
And the first thing Mitch says is, "It's Bob, isn't it?" Which, yeah, I feel like when you do realize your partner's been cheating on you, you probably do have a good idea of who it most likely is.
Yeah. And not the same thing, but I've had a situation where it wasn't an affair, but it was finding out something really dark about someone. And once it was sort of said out loud to me, things clicked into place, and I was like, oh, no, I can see it. So I think
Yeah.
it's you sort of have all this evidence building up, and but it takes someone to say it out loud, and then everything clicks into place, and you're like, oh, the speed at which I believe this shows me that I already kind of knew.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he goes into a conversation, like, he kinda has this monologue about, like, talking about when he first met her and, like, "I knew I was immediately in love with you and that I chose to love you," and all this stuff, and you can tell she's looking a little hopeful, and, like, you think maybe this isn't gonna be so bad,
Yeah,
and then it turns to him saying, "Love is a decision and it lasted and we weathered the storm."
yeah.
I don't want to love you. I choose to hate you now.
Whew. Whew.
And then he yells at her to get out of the car. And he says, "Before I physically remove you from it."
Yeah, and that just was piled on top of the aggression in the previous scene, and I was just like, I don't like that. And
Hmm.
there is a direct. I don't think this is where the show goes, but we know that that these things escalate. It escalates from someone threatening violence or doing one thing to the next. So, oh, that was one of several just chilling moments that I was like, this feels out of place in this TV show, but we have to just roll with it.
Yeah. So she does get out of the car and Mitch drives away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's just standing in the pouring rain. Like, what have I done?
Yeah, you done fucked up,
Oh, this
Gale.
is going really bad.
Who could have foreseen this?
Yeah. Next, we go back to, well, I think the storm finally clears, right? And
Yeah, there's this shot of the town of people like taking down plywood and stuff, and one of them had, because it was Hurricane Chris,
yeah.
someone had spray painted on like a plywood thing with like the name Chris and then a circle crossed out like no Chris, as if that was gonna make the hurricane. You know what? Maybe that is what made the hurricane turn around. It saw
The hur
I'm not
the
wanted in
hurricane
Cape
can
Side.
read and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I'm not allowed here.
Oh, my bad.
I'll be on my way."
Bye bye.
We go back to Tamara's place, and I don't know, they're just kinda, like, cleaning up, and she's thanking Doug and but tells him, like, "Oh, I'm actually seeing someone."
Yeah.
So Doug seems to be like, "Oh, okay," like, bummed, but also,
Yeah, I took it
I
very in
don't know.
stride, which reminds me of how I've heard many women say that it's not enough to tell a man in a bar that you're not interested. You have to say that, oh no, I have a boyfriend, because they have more respect for this theoretical man than they do for the person talking to them.
Yep. Yep.
It's like, oh, you belong to someone else? Okay, then.
Doug and Pacey leave, but the whole time they're walking out, Pacey's just ear to ear smiling.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Yeah, she's dating me."
Yeah.
We're at the Leary house post-storm, and after seeing what his mom and dad are going through, Dawson has some kind of perspective now about how bad a relationship, like how much trouble a relationship could be in.
Yeah.
Like this really long-term marriage where they were really happy and it got very messed up
Mm-hmm.
over something that happened in like 2 months. And then Jen comes in and is like, "I'm gonna tell you what happened to me." And like, I mean, we'll discuss that, but I think that gives them perspective of like, oh, this thing that happened to her was not her fault, and also it's not that big of a deal compared to like my hangups are not that big of a deal compared to like everything else going on right now.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Because I remember in these last couple scenes with Dawson being almost like, why has he suddenly come back down to Earth? And I guess you explained it in a way that I didn't feel like was super obvious on the show. I was like, I guess I see it. It just, I don't know, it almost felt like the character hadn't earned that redemption. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess, yeah, the way you explained it makes it make more sense that he, like, saw how this thing can derail a 20-year relationship. And he's like, oh, maybe this thing that happened before I even knew her kind of isn't pertinent to the situation.
Yeah. But yeah, she comes to him, is obviously upset when she tells him, like, she's like, "I lost my virginity at 12 to some older guy who got me drunk." And then,
Yeah, she was raped.
yeah,
Sorry, I didn't. I
yeah,
should have let you go on.
no, nope. Being blunt about it is good. Uh, and to deal with that, I guess she started drinking a lot, and she says she was sexualized way too young, and that like the final nail in the coffin with her parents was that she was caught having sex in her parents' bed.
Which does not
And
sound. I don't.
it's a weird choice.
That's a choice. I mean, it's not really a choice. She's a child, but it would. Yeah, I can't relate to that one.
Mm-mm.
And her dad. Oh, when she says her dad won't even look at her, and like so they
Mm-hmm.
sent her away so he doesn't have to look at her.
Mm-hmm.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah. And yeah, so then Dawson starts to kind of come around, realizing like he really cares about her and like his hangups are not worth losing her, I guess. And he says, like, "Oh, I thought because my parents had this great sex life and they really seemed to love each other so much that like they were happy and that this wouldn't happen." And then she's like, "Yeah, no, sex doesn't mean you're happy."
Yeah.
And he asks for her forgiveness and like, "I've been an asshole," basically. And
Yeah.
like, "I would be so lucky to have you forgive me for how I've been acting." And so they make up and they hug and he says, "Take two." Because
Okay.
we had to bring it back to what Rams was saying about second chances.
Or something, or film, or something.
All right. So now we go to Pacey circling back to Tamara's house and like helping her put stuff back on her porch and whatever. And he starts asking the if game. He starts
Yeah.
playing that where he's like, "If you could go back and change one thing, what would you do?" And she said, like, "Not marry an abusive fat stockbroker."
Yeah, which two of those things are offensive, being abusive and a stockbroker. One of those things is kind of not relevant.
She wasn't kidding when she's like, "You don't want to be with me. I'm crazy. I'm damaged." It's like,
Yeah.
okay, there's some explanation, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Well, what would you have? What would you go back and change?" And he said, "Well, I would like to be older." And he's like, "I want to be older so I can have an open public relationship with you." And just that he he admits like he's dealing with jealousy and stuff because he can't really fully be her partner because it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he kind of says some sweet things to try to like, I don't know, win her back. Like I'm bothered by any man who enters your orbit or something like that. And I was like, okay, this is
Yeah.
possessive.
Yeah,
And
like, I'm sure to someone this is romantic, but it's not me.
yep. And then he asks, like, if you could do one thing right now, what would you do? And she just stares at him and like has this like dirty smile and pulls him into the house.
I
Like,
know.
I would do you. That's what
For
I
a
would do.
brief moment, I was like, I was almost hoping she would say, if the one thing I would do, I would kiss you. And I was like, but then she just pulls him in with the clear intention of having sex. And I'm just like, oh. I just, in all caps, Tamara, stop! That's a child. Ew, it's a. No, no, no. No. Ugh.
Yep.
Well, at least they don't show us.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, we see uh Dawson's mom sitting on the porch with the most moppy hair. Her hair looks insane.
She looks like she's lived through a horror movie.
Just rocking on the rocking chair like someone who has lost their mind. And Mitch comes home, sees her on the porch, sits on the steps in front of the porch, facing away from her, like, I can't really look at you right now.
Yeah.
But, like, I think the first thing he says is, like, so why'd you do it?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, my reason, you're going to be upset. It's preposterous. I just realized that my life was perfect. I had everything I could ever want.
Yeah.
And when your life is perfect, you get restless. And I wanted for nothing and I just wanted to want again.
Couldn't and I was just like, there's so many other outlets for this. Decide to run a marathon. Pick a
Yeah.
goal. Something. Yeah, that was so lame.
Yeah. And then she's like, but now I realize what I want is what I've lost.
Ugh.
And she says she's really sorry. And Mitch is like, okay, yeah, let's just sit here. I'm not going to figure this out today.
Yeah, and then I was like speculating. So they're gonna sit there for a while because he's like, I don't want to talk anymore. But sooner or later, someone has to get up, and I don't think Gale can. Like, Gale cannot be the one to get up and walk away. She has to sit there as long as he sits there.
Yeah.
He has to be the one who's like, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go make a sandwich. She can't do that. She has to just sit there.
So that's kind of where we leave it with them. We then see Dawson and Joey having a conversation in his bedroom, I think, kind of coming back full circle.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's just kind of like Dawson's apology tour.
Yeah, yep.
It's just like, Jen, I'm sorry. Joey, I'm sorry. Dawson kind of apologizes for, like, I'm sorry. I didn't think about how your mom's dead, and that's worse than what I'm dealing with. Uh,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean just the way you. I didn't think about your mom being dead. I mean, yeah, that's basically what he said.
yep. Joey says something about, like, well, you're born and you die, and you make a lot of mistakes in between. And she's like, my mom made a lot of mistakes, but now that she's gone, I can't remember a single one, which is really sweet.
Yeah.
And tells him, like, you'll get through this.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a weirdly, like, aware moment of. It was a very young person reflecting on the fact that death really changes how you see someone, and, like, we know that a lot with public figures. As soon as someone dies, we're like, oh, they didn't do all those terrible things they did. Let's focus on this great movie they made. So.
Yep. Joey's just like, can we just pretend like we're not growing up for one night? And so Dawson takes her into the closet and they pretend to be in Jaws.
Yep. They're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, they are.
For all these adult problems they have. Uh, well,
Yep.
I believe we've reached the end of the episode. Are you prepared to answer the question of whose creek is it?
Not really. I don't know. Like, so many people have had real things, real
Yeah,
things going on.
I can start.
Please.
I don't know how I feel about my answer, but the answer I'm gonna go with is that it was Gale's Creek.
Mhm. Okay.
Because, like, I feel
Yeah,
like
no.
we had sort of
Y-
established. I feel like the assumption we were making was that it was always going to be one of the core four, but it sort of. This was the episode where sort of all Gale's chickens came home to roost. And while there was a lot going on for a lot of people, it felt like this was the this was the biggest moment for her. Even more so than Dawson. At least
Mhm.
that's where my mind went on this episode. It was sort of that was sort of the prevailing narrative for me. So I'm going to say that it was Gale's Creek.
I also agree it's Gale's Creek. The second one running, though, I think is Pacey. Just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
when you have a gun pointed at you, you have a good
Yeah.
chance of it being your creek that episode.
You know what? I feel like that's a fair rule to set in place for this podcast. If you get a gun pointed at you, you're automatically in the running for creekdom. And we did sort
Yeah.
of this was the first sort of peek into Pacey's world outside of his persona. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that makes sense.
But yeah, Gale really,
Really stepped in it.
yeah. Yep. Well, I think this is like the darkest episode of this season. I think you got through like the craziest one, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I think we made it. Wow, what an episode to jump back in on.
mhm. Well, the next episode is called Baby. I
Mm.
wonder what that could be.
It is a baby that will be 100% loved.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see. We won't see anyone. This is a podcast, but
You'll hear us later.
yes. Good point, Miranda. We have an Instagram and a TikTok. I believe they're both just at Whose Creek Is It?
Yeah, we got awesome name rights.
Yeah. So you can check us out there. We just post little like clips and stuff and announcements when we put out episodes. And I believe our plan going forward is to put them out weekly on Mondays.
Yes.
All right.
Unless people have strong opinions about what other date.
You know what? It'll be interesting if if this podcast ever reaches the point where someone has strong opinions about it other than us.